In the race for Best Comedy Series at the Emmys, Veep has won 2 years in a row. In this year of political obsession about the White House, is it going to win again? Marcus Dixon, senior editor, Gold Derby?
I think so. Look, Veep has done something very, very rare. This is its 6th season. Every season it goes up in nominations, including this year. It wasn't its best season, I would say, but it still gained in nominations, which in a show now in its 6th year, that's very, very hard to do. So I give it to Veep.
Continues to dominate writing and directing nominations. You know what a show it reminds me of that you and I grew up on? Mary Tyler Moore Show. Did not win its first few years at the Emmys.
Oh,
it won acting races, but not. It won its 5th, 6th, and 7th seasons for comedy series. It never could get around like All in the Family and MASH, and there were so many good shows. A female-centric show. I think that's what's happening here. Before the nominations came out, I really thought this was going to be a tight race with Blackish and Atlanta.
Yeah, me too.
But once I saw the nomination pool again, I just thought, this is not one that is really all that difficult of a call to me.
We've seen a repeat pattern in this category. We've seen Modern Family win 5 times in a row, 30 Rock win 3 years in a row before that. So this kind of fits into that tradition, but we know that the Emmy voting is changing all the time, so these traditions can mean nothing. Look, it's all about Atlanta now as the new show, and a lot of the experts are saying that's going to win. A lot of our very smart users at the site say it's going to win too. The problem I have with that as the alternative to Veep is that it's not funny. It has the transparent problem, number one. It is critically acclaimed, but it's also new. It took Veep a couple of years to get. So what's the Atlanta argument, pro or con?
I think Atlanta is going to win a couple Emmys, but I don't think it's going to win the series one, at least not this year.
But why? Don't just say, I don't think. Give me a reason.
Well, you kind of mentioned the fact that it's not funny, and I think that really, really matters. I mean, look at all of the winners that you just mentioned.
They're all knee-slapping funny shows.
The Office, Seinfeld, I mean.
It's the subject matter, too. You and I met a lot of voters. I don't see these 50-plus-year-old voters going for a rap show set in Atlanta, Georgia. It just doesn't feel like something they're going to go. And while it got some of the key places it needed to get, especially below the line.
Casting, it's nominated.
Casting, directing, writing. It did not, it should have swept in a Brian Tyree Henry in supporting actor. It should have showed up in a couple of more key slots, I think.
Master of None did win comedy writing last year. It's really hot, and it's Netflix and all of that, but yet these stand-up shows tend not to win, right?
Right. I think if it wins, it will probably win writing again, or it could even win Angela Bassett. It gained an acting nomination.
But what I'm referring to is that stand-up comics don't tend to win I mean, Seinfeld won Best Series.
Right, like Larry David and Louis C.K.
The ensemble shows, and Seinfeld was an ensemble show, tend to win this, right? And so a show that is dominated so much by Glover.
It feels, this Master of None feels so much like Louis to me.
Yes.
Like it can win writing, it can get some nominations. Louis even won a guest actress for Melissa Leo once. So, and Angela Bassett would not be a shocker to me.
Right.
When we get over into the acting discussion, though, Aziz winning acting would be a shocker to me.
Right, well, let's talk about that. Aziz seems to me to be a Louis C.K., somebody who is considered a great, he could win for writing. It's the auteur, and I don't think that the acting branch takes that as seriously as others, right?
We've only seen one stand-up guy win over the past 40 years, and that was Ray Romano.
Over on the female side, the Roseanne one.
Roseanne one, but even there, I mean, you're talking about 1 and 1. I mean, it's not all that often. If you're talking about just an auteur that directs and writes and produces, Tina Fey won once, but not, Louis C.K., Larry David. We don't see that happening very often, or hardly, never really.
Marcus, Blackish is the new Modern Family in a way. And so it got one more nomination this year, but still it hasn't.
Ooh, Wanda Sykes got in.
It's 4 instead of 3. It is up for series. It is kind of a new Modern Family version. Are we underestimating it?
No, we're not. It should have done better. I think we all thought it would do better. It should have got writing. It should have got casting. It should have got editing. And the fact that it didn't, I think, was a big, big disappointment.
But wait a minute, though. On the acting side, for Anthony Anderson and Tracee Ellis Ross, they're both very well regarded. They're nominated for 2nd year in a row. Can either of them win?
Yeah, they could win.
Tracee just won the Globe.
Right.
So that's a strong feather for her. in May and in June, before we had nominations, I really thought this thing was going to break through finally in its third year. It's been up for Anthony's 3 times, the show twice, Tracy twice. They just can't get over the bubble of that really being all it gets of any consequence.
What wins? Who wins comedy actor? Then let's just all keep this as a comedy discussion, all of it in one. We'll do the 2 acting races plus comedy series. So let's continue on this thread for actor. Who wins then?
I just put Jeffrey Tambor back in first.
He's won twice in a row.
Won twice in a row. Like I said before, in a tight race, I think episodes can matter. He submitted the season premiere, which has no other transparent regulars in it. He's manning a suicide hotline and then goes chasing off across town to try to help somebody.
It's not funny. You're the proponent of you only win if it's really funny, but are they watching the episodes?
But he's won twice. Before he won 2 years ago, I said at the time, I said he would be the most different lead actor winner in the history of the Emmys, because he, that type of role had never won for comedy actor, but he's proven it time and again. And I think one thing that helps him here is that there will be support, good support, going to every one of his competitors just about. And when you're a front runner, I think that helps.
Well, Marcus Dixon disagrees.
I totally disagree. I think there are 2 other guys that have a better shot than Jeffrey Tambor, and that's Zach Galifianakis, yes, it's true, and William H. Macy. Both of these guys put on such over-the-top, hilarious characters and roles. Zach plays twins, he plays a clown. William H. Macy plays a drunk, and he has a really great storyline if they're watching Shameless.
And he's won SAG twice.
Yep, he won SAG
just
twice.
for this role.
Yeah. So, I mean, why that's significant is that it is a peer group award just like the Emmys. So, in other words, only actors and casting directors are voting on acting at the Emmys. And so there's a lot to be learned from SAG here. There is a tattletale business here, and Macy could do it.
Right. I think if you're making your predictions, you might put Zach down lower, but you have to remember his co-star Louis Anderson won last year. So somebody is watching the show, including me. I love it. But don't count him out just because he got snubbed for season 1 and now he's in for season 2.
His co-star won last year.
I was saying earlier, too, remember the first year Eric Stone Street won, he was in a clown costume, and we all pointed out they love seeing people dress up like that.
Right.
And that could help Zach. I think what you're both overlooking, though, when you say that about William H. Macy, yeah, and absolutely on the SAG side, but who else is one of those actor kind of guys, and that's Jeffrey Tambor. It's not like Macy has that over him.
Right.
Tambor's been on TV for 40 years. So I think that certainly does not hurt him.
There were a lot of new winners last year, like Rami Malek and Tatiana, etc. Anthony Anderson would be in that mold now. I mean, he was nominated before. It's possible to win. Again, we don't know with the new voting processes and the changes. We don't see patterns, but who's actually in this race? He is, right?
Anthony submitted a really great episode too. It's the Lemons episode, right, where he's yelling and screaming about Donald Trump being president, and he gives a great speech. We always say speeches really matter.
Yes, they do.
If back in the episode days where you had to actually watch these tapes.
So what's your prediction is William H. Macy?
Right now it's William H. Macy with Zach Galifianakis and Jeffrey Tambor and tied for 2nd place.
I've got Glover because I don't know why. But let's pick, actress is easy. This is theoretically Julia Louis-Dreyfus again, right, Chris? And
so many records. So many records.
Take us through the records.
Well, she's won 5 in a row. She's won 6 overall as lead actress. Nobody's ever done that. She was tied going into last year's ceremony with Mary Tyler Moore and Candice Bergen. She's sitting on 7 performing wins because she also has 1 for Seinfeld. That's 1 short of Cloris Leachman, who has 8 for primetime.
And Cloris has the record for primetime wins.
Believe it or not, that's the record, is 8 for primetime acting wins. So Julia and Allison Janney, who's up against her now in lead, both are sitting at 7. So they could tie that all-time record, which is an incredible accomplishment. So she's got a lot, and Candice Bergen, Ed Asner, Don Knotts have all won 5 for the same role, so she can surpass them as well.
Where do you
I
come
think
on?
she's going to do it. I think something that Chris has always said is if there's one alternative, then the voters will
rally
likely
behind
rally.
that person sometimes.
But in this case, there's 7 nominees, and you have Julia up here, and then the other 6 are kind of all tied, essentially. So
I don't think Allison Janney would feel that way, Emmy darling that she is, and I don't feel Lily Tomlin would feel that way, who, by the way, is on the Board of Governors, and an Emmy darling of going way back. But among the new patterns that we've seen in the voting under the new system is where, as in the old days, if you were nominated against a co-star, it would help you, but now it hurts you.
Right.
And this year, Jane Fonda got in, her co-star.
If they can't decide, like we were talking earlier, I think when it's a clear-cut choice, I don't know.
But there's not a clear cut.
No,
there.
there's not
Jane's
a clear
got her
cut.
things. And then don't write off Ellie Kemper. I love, but before we started rolling here, the cameras, we all asked ourselves, who would we vote for here? We all said Ellie.
she had such a great season. That show, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, was the show I laughed at the most of the whole year, including Veep. So if we're going to go based on comedy actress, who made you laugh more than Ellie Kemper?
Several of these people in actress are not up for series. Pamela Adline, Lillian Jane, I forgot, Allison Janney. So Ellie's show keeps getting in for series. There is wider spread support for it. Pamela Adline's the wild card for me. Another thing we noticed last year was if somebody gets in sort of surprisingly, a Louis Anderson, Tashiana had been in. Sometimes it's showing something to us that we're not seeing. Pamela Adline getting in for a show, Better Things, that not a lot of people had seen. She's the writer, she's the director, she's the producer. That might help her more than we think it is.
But it's our official predictions are Julia, right?
Right.
Because we're
Oh,
cowards.
Julia, I'm not. Yeah, that one's not changing
I'm going
on
to
my
keep
board.
predicting Julia until she loses.
And she follows this. She keeps up with what we're predicting, and she wants those records.
Yeah, she deserves them too. What's your prediction? Go to Gold Derby and tell us how wrong we are.